Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that's all about speaking your truth, sharing your stories, and sparking the conversations that matter most. I'm your host, Rodney W. Collins, and this is the Speak On It Show. On this show, we dive deep into the thoughts, experiences, and ideas that shape our world. It's a place where voices are heard, perspectives are celebrated, and discussions are not just encouraged, but cherished. Whether it's culture, politics, personal growth, or just life's everyday adventures, we're here to explore it all. We've got engaging interviews, thought-provoking discussions, and sometimes we might even stir the pot a little bit. Speak On The Show is where we challenge the status quo, celebrate diversity, and engage in conversations that make us think, laugh, and grow. So get ready to be inspired, get ready to connect, and most importantly, get ready to speak your truth. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. It's time for the Speak On It Show with your host, Rodney W. Collins. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Speak On It. I'm your boy, Rodney W. Collins, but not your boy, I'm your man. Let me eliminate that from the vocabulary. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rodney W. Collins, Speak On This Show. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. That's what we do here on the Rodney W. Collins, Speak On This Show. Got a good morning already. Terrence Collins, my brother. Good morning, good morning. Appreciate you. Thank you for your continued support, not only on the show, but in life as a whole. I appreciate you, my big brother, my big brother. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. I know it was yesterday, but happy Valentine's Day. Hope you got what you wanted. Hope you got to go out to dinner, got some roses, got some flowers. Whatever you may do on Valentine's Day, hope you enjoyed it. James Battle, my brother, good morning, man. Appreciate all the information you've been sending me, man. It's a lot. I know we own it, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, man. But yeah, we're going to get into this today. Today is going to be a straight talk day. Straight talk. We got some things that we need to discuss. We got some things that I need to enlighten you on. You may already know. Some things you will, some things you won't. But if you got some things you want to chime in on, feel free. Put your information, go to the chat. Just like the good mornings. Brian Hoodie, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a long time supporter of the show. Now, I want to start off with this morning before we get into anything. I had something come to me the other day, just dealing with, and we're going to get into this a little bit later on, but it was dealing with veterans benefits and how they're talking about proposed cuts to VA benefits for veterans, disability benefits for veterans. And me being the person I am, when I see this information, I look at it, I read it, I listen to it, and I ensure that it's on the up and up before I send it out. So I sent it out to a lot of people. I think, I sent it out to as many people as possible. I think James Battle may have sent it to me. I'm not sure he sent me so much. So it may have been something you sent me, Battle. I appreciate that. But I sent it out to some people. And what I realized was I had only one response to what I sent out. They're dealing with the veteran proposed cuts and what they said. And it came from someone who, I'm assuming, I'm not going to say his name or anything like that, I'm assuming, is a Trump supporter. And in his response to me, he says, with all these proposals that have been in Project 2025, as we talked about, and they've been putting them all over the place and everything, his response to me was that Trump would not let this happen. That was his response to me, was that Trump will not let this happen as far as the VA cuts and everything, or disability cuts. I responded back and I said, just very simply, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Then the next day, he sent me VA Secretary, I think his name is Collins. I can't remember. VA Secretary, who's the new VA Secretary. He sent me a video of him saying there's been a lot of talk about VA cuts and VA proposals and everything. And he said in his video that those cuts aren't even on the table and so on and so forth. You know, that propaganda they put out there. The reason I bring this up is that it's only important to these people who are Trump supporters when it truly, truly, truly starts affecting them. It's only important to them when it starts affecting them or their families directly. I seen something where I think it might have been in Mississippi, Alabama, somewhere down there, where they get a certain amount of stipend or something towards their electric bill or whatever. And now they're saying that that's going to stop. They're cutting that out. So now the people that voted for him are upset that these cuts are coming. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm going to say in the beginning of this show today, because I'm going to read through some things that really expose and open our eyes to the fact that, you know, as I always say, and I'll say it again, don't spit in my face and tell me it's raining. Don't spit in my face and tell me it's raining. Now, you can defend your vote. You can defend who you were pushing for, but can you defend why? I always say that to people. I say, you can tell me who you voted for or how you felt about it or what, but can you just tell me why? Can you truly defend why you chose to vote in the way you voted? And most of the time it's crickets. Just put it out there. Because one thing we know to be true is that most people with the mindset, certain mindset, are unable to defend the choices that they made at the time that they made it when they see that things are not going in the manner that they thought they were going to go. You know, we all come in times where we've made a decision. It didn't turn out the way we wanted to. Man up, woman up. Just say, I made a mistake. However, in this case, the mistakes, if you chose to vote that way and you call it a mistake now, you have to look at all the people's lives that you're impacted because of your choices. Choices have consequences. Elections have consequences. That's where we're at right now. And it's going to be a while. Stay firm, stay grounded, stay trustworthy. And the man upstairs, this is just scratching the surface. It's only been like, 26, 27 days? We aren't even 30 days in. And these are the things that are going on already. So just be prepared. But again, let's go and get off there. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. Hope you enjoy it. If you can celebrate the day, enjoy yourself. You know, do what you do. Love up on some people. Call some people. Do what you do. And we're going to go ahead and get into this, man, because it's straight talk. But I'm going to say that segment for the end, because I got something I really want to touch on that goes into what I was just talking on. But let's get into this. Let's go. In the news. As we always start off, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. And this article starts off and says, a controversial cabinet choice who faced accusations of heavy drinking, serial infidelity, and sexual assault was telling them, wait, let me stop there for a minute before I get into it. I want you to think about what I just read. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, a controversial cabinet choice who faced accusations of heavy drinking, serial infidelity, and sexual assault, was telling their audience that axing diversity, equity, and inclusion practices was about getting back to basics. Getting back to basics. And then it says the Trump administration targeted diversity initiatives generated student protests on the military base where Hegseth spoke. I think he was over in Stuttgart, Germany. And there was some protests. People were out there protesting. I seen one article where the school that they thought he was going to go visit, they had to take pictures down of Harriet Tubman and all these different things. I think they had a pride flag. They had to take all these things down thinking he was going to come. Needless to say, he never went. But it's the fear of having these things shown is where people are when it comes to, you know, these people visiting and so on and so forth. But he also said, it says he pledged the administration would treat every service member with respect, regardless of gender, race, or background, claiming that equality has been a bedrock of the military for quite some time. And this is what he said. We should be damn proud of that. We should continue to live that way, he continued. That's the message we want coming out of the changes that are made. And then he had a problem because there's a statement that says, e pluribus unum, the Latin phrase for out of many, one. And it appears on the Great Seal of the United States, but he couldn't even get it out. They said the people he was talking to, the military members he was talking to, had to help him because he couldn't even say it. So my thing is, I don't know, I can e pluribus unum, but I'm not going to add that into something when I'm speaking to a group of people and I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't know how to pronounce it, and so on and so forth. This is who we're dealing with in this position. Kevin Banks, my brother, good morning. Good morning, bro. Appreciate you. But I say all that about this Secretary of Defense and what he said, and says we should be damn proud of that, and we should continue to live that way. And he said he pledged the administration would treat every service member with respect, regardless of gender, race, or background, claiming that equality has been a bedrock of the military for quite some time. Bunch of word salad. It's a bunch of word salad. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this article jumped out at me. Appreciate my brother Battle and Brother Banks, because we were on a text message kind of talking about this. And it says, the article starts off, blacks need not apply. U.S. military's racist decision to stop recruiting service members from black engineering event draws backlash. Blacks need not apply. U.S. military's racist decision to stop recruiting service members from black engineering event draws backlash. As President Donald Trump's administration continues to scour federal agencies of all DEI programs and initiatives, a U.S. military recruiting agency recently announced that it will no longer recruit potential service members from a renowned black engineering event. On Monday, military.com reported that the Army and other service branches will end their enlistment efforts at the Black Engineer of the Year Awards, an annual event that invites students, academics, and professionals with expertise in science, technology, and engineering and math. They call it STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But they're going to stop going there. They're going to stop recruiting from this awards area ceremony every year. Black Engineer of the Year Awards. This is what it says. In compliance with Department of Defense and Headquarters Department of the Army's guidance, U.S. Army Recruiting Command will not participate in the upcoming BIA event, and that's Black Engineer of the Year Award. Service members and civilians are permitted to attend this event in an unofficial/personal capacity if they choose to. If they choose to. This comes just weeks after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued a memo ordering all department agencies to abolish diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and offices to prepare to adopt new merit-based colorblind policies. Shortly after, he announced that the Department of Defense will no longer celebrate and observe heritage and identity recognition months like Black History and Women's History Month. Black Engineers, the BIA event based in Baltimore, has served as an essential channel for the Pentagon to access highly skilled STEM talent, award reserve officers training corps scholarships, and pitch military service to rising engineers. The Army Recruiting Command boasted a long-standing partnership with the event, and several past BIA events have included the Army Chief of Staff and other senior military members. Two defense officials signaled that the branch would likely abandon other recruiting events tied to specific racial groups. So now, there's some more here that I'm going to read, but I'm going to stop right there for a minute and ask this question. If you're recruiting people, and you want the best of the best that you want to recruit, and you have annually gone to this Black Engineer of the Year Award ceremony in Baltimore to recruit the best of the best in engineers, in science, technology. Let me get it right now. The STEM program. Science, technology, where'd it go? Y'all excuse me for that because I just lost it. Science, technology, engineering, and math. What it tells me is this has nothing to do with trying to get the most experience. This has to do with you don't want experienced blacks. You don't want blacks with the experience. Blacks need not apply. Now I know me, Battle, and Banks were joking kind of in the comments of each other in our text yesterday, but I said something to the effect of they should just close down the recruiting offices then. Or put a sign up in front of the recruiter's office for the normal everyday person like me or you, or like when I went in at the recruiting offices and say, no colors allowed. I said it. They should just go ahead and put a sign outside and say, no colors allowed. Because this is the route that they're going. You don't want the best of the best. You don't want the best of the best, because if you wanted the best of the best, you would look at the diverse opportunities for people to join. You would go and recruit the best of the best from these events. And now you're talking about not attending any of these events. Why is that? One Army recruiter said BR has always been significant for the branch and is one of the most talent-dense events we do. This came out from one other Army general. It's effing racist, one active duty U.S. Army general stated. For the Army now, it's blacks need not apply, and it breaks my heart. The Navy, Air Force, and Space Force have also withdrawn participation from the event and prohibited their officials from attending in an official capacity or in uniform. There's no word on whether the Marines have also pulled out. According to data from military.com, black applicants made up more than 24% of the Army's new enlistments in 2022. More than 24% of the Army's new enlistments in 2022. In a recent address to the Pentagon staff, Hess has said, I think the single dumbest phrase in military history is our diversity is our strength. I think our strength is in our unity. Our strength is our shared purpose, regardless of our background, regardless of how we grew up, regardless of our gender, regardless of our race. In this department, we will treat everyone equally. But blacks need not apply. Science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM programs, black students that are going to be at this Black Engineers at the BI Awards need not apply. Black Engineer of the Year Awards don't even apply. If you had aspirations of joining the Army under this program, don't even apply. Don't even think about coming to see us. Don't even think about joining the military. Good luck. No matter how educated you are, no matter how much of an asset you would be to the defense of this country because of what you know in your education and everything that you have in you, don't apply. We don't need you. We don't need your kind round here. James Battle. I guess they forget they are recruiting against others like corporations. If they want to have the best people, you will need to recruit them. They will be recruiting at predominantly white universities. Those universities just don't say they're predominantly white, but we all know they are. And I'll say this, along with that. If they're not going to be going and doing recruiting at the Black Engineer Yearly Awards, you won't see them on HBCU campuses anymore either. And from what I know to be true, the recruitment on a lot of the HBCU campuses were for the officer ranks because they have the degrees and they're in the engineering and so on and so forth at the HBCUs. But now, if you're not going to this awards, this is an annual thing, then that tells me you don't plan to go to the HBCUs at all. Also, if you remember, I know when I was young, recruiters used to come to the public schools and recruit. And most of the time, when they were recruiting in the public schools, who were the most likely ones to join the military or decide to join the military once they were recruited? African Americans, minorities in this country. So basically, for me, the visuals that I'm getting is let's minimize recruiting them and let's just go with what we know. Let's get the best of the best that look like us, rather than the best of the best that looks like the United States of America. I want to stop there and I want to say this too. I seen another article, and I didn't print it out, but it just clicked, where there's a Iraq war veteran, who got his citizenship because he decided to serve. And now they've arrested him and are talking about deporting him. Why? Because he had a case where he was charged and the charges, I think, were dropped, or he was on probation. But because he had these charges, they said there's a stipulation in his recruitment and in order for him to get citizenship that says if he is a felon or convicted of felony or anything like that, he can be deported. And they rounded him up just the other day. I seen the article and I can't remember who it is. If I find it, I'll post it on my Facebook page, Rodney W. Collins channel, and you can read it for yourself. But it's just amazing to me how they said they're going for the hardened criminals that came here illegally. But this young man who served his time in the military and served his country, now the country is telling him, we no longer need your services. And they're going to send him back to where, I can't remember where he was from. This is what we're dealing with right now. And I want to show this. Let me see if I can get it here. I want to show this video first. Hopefully y'all can see that. Okay. I'm going to show this video, and it has no sound, but I want you to watch this before I get into this next part. And here it goes. Watch this. Well, let me just tell you, this is the Tesla truck when it first came out 5 years ago. And it was supposed to be armored glass. I want you to watch this. Armored glass on this Tesla truck. It was a demonstration to show that the glass in this cyber Tesla truck was supposed to be armor plated, and it was trying to make a sale to the military at that time, 5 years ago now. So they did this demonstration. They threw a metal ball at the front window. Now watch the back window. The one that had sound, Elon Musk said when he hit the second window and it broke, well, at least it didn't go through. Because you can tell the difference in the two. One looked like it went through and the other didn't. I bring that up because of this. The Trump administration might just spend $400 million on the armored Teslas. Yeah, that Tesla we just seen. The State Department planned to spend $400 million on armored vehicles made by Elon Musk's electric vehicle company. Now the deal may be on hold. As Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency continues its punitive onslaught against government agencies in what he claims is an effort to reduce wasteful spending, his own companies continue to enjoy lucrative federal contracts. Tesla and SpaceX have been awarded some $230 million worth in contracts so far in 2025. This is February 15th. So since January 20th, let's just talk about this, January 20th to February 15th, he has been awarded some $230 million worth in contracts, government contracts, on top of billions claimed over the past several years. On Wednesday, DropSite News reported that President Donald Trump's State Department, led by Marco Rubio, expects to pay $400 million for some kind of armored Tesla vehicles. Don't worry, Musk, now a special government employee for Trump, has assured the public that potential conflicts of interest as he unilaterally decides where government funds are directed will not be an issue. The $400 million budget item appeared on the State Department's 2025 procurement forecast, updated on December 23rd during Trump's transition period and 1 month before his inauguration. The largest expense in the document is expected to span 5 years and describes a planned purchase of armored Tesla production units. The document did not specify whether this refers to Cybertrucks, though Musk has touted the toughness of the Tesla vehicle's stainless steel exterior and called it a futuristic battle tank. The truck, however, has been criticized for its production quality, which has resulted in multiple recalls since its debut in 2023. Retail sales have also been disappointment. And then it goes in to say no government contract has been awarded to Tesla or any other vehicle manufacturer to produce armored electric vehicles for the State Department. Let me say something here. I was in the military and I was in the government for a pretty good amount of time, about 30-something years, 31, 32 years. There is no time in my career, and somebody can chime in, no time in my career that when we do a budget forecast of what vehicles we're going to need or anything like that, assets we're going to need going forward, we never put a specific make or a specific model in any contracts that we're going to look at someone to bid on to be rewarded or awarded to. That's just not normal. But for the State Department to actually have in there that expects to pay $400 million for some kind of armored Tesla vehicle, specifically Tesla vehicles, not armored vehicles, but armored Tesla vehicles, tells me everything I need to know. That's not a mistake. They can tell you it's a mistake, but I know what I'm talking about because I've been in this game long enough to know when they say armored Tesla vehicles, they were planning to buy armored Tesla vehicles specifically. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been written out that way. And then they went back and they tried to pull it back and say it was a mistake that it was put out there like that. They have not put anything out about buying Teslas or any certain manufacturer for the armored vehicles. That's window dressing now. You've already showed us your hand on what you plan to do. You're giving this man contracts and not even putting them out for bid in the normal process. Reason being, here's what you have to understand about this. And if anybody's on that knows about these processes, about contracts, help me out. But I'm going to tell you what I know to be true. When there's a government contract that goes out, and this is what people need to understand. When you see people that have their businesses and they say minority-owned business or they say veteran-owned business, that's specifically for when they want to put in for government contracts. So they have an opportunity to get those contracts because they look for the diversity in awarding the contracts. Let me say that again. When you see minority-owned, when you say woman-owned business, disabled veteran-owned business, these are reasons why they do that. And they put that disclaimer, they put that in there because they want the contract, and they'll get looked at a lot better than a regular person because of who they are and who they stand for. Because it's called diversity. They were diversifying the contracts that were awarded to the government to support the government. But not anymore. Not anymore. Jack and Diggs Barnett. Yep. See him in. From one who prepares proposals for government contracts, this procurement is wired and steered. It would be cause for protest. You're right. Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. But think about that. Think about that. You specifically put armored Tesla vehicles. And now you want to backtrack and say, we haven't awarded anything. But you've already let us know what your mindset is. You've already showed us what you plan to do. So this man is going to get $230 million up to this point. But then this $400 million contract for Teslas, armored Teslas that don't work, as I showed you the video. That's why I showed you with the broken windows. But they're laying off and cutting federal employees back who are veterans in the workforce in the government. They're reducing the federal workforce, who the federal workforce was designed to give veterans jobs. Disabled veterans get hiring preference, a 10-point preference, depending on your rating, your disability, and things like that, to get a job with that, with the government, the federal government. So what are we doing here? Are we going to act blind to the fact that what this is a money grab by all parties involved in this political process at this time? You know, you can sit back and you can say, oh, well, you know, I don't remember the names. Chuck Schumer's gotten rich by being a congressman or a senator. And Joe Biden, 50 years, how's he a millionaire and all this kind of stuff? Well, at the end of the day, whatever they were doing with their stocks and bonds and investments and all that kind of stuff, yeah, does it make sense? No. But does it happen? Yes, on both sides of the aisle. But this right here, think about the people that he is putting in positions. All the people that he's putting in these cabinet positions are either millionaires or to become millionaires strictly because of the contracts that they're going to award to their buddies and their friends. But But people ain't worried about that. People ain't worried about that. They're more concerned about him eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion because they feel that black folks and minorities are getting the upper hand, that they're not paying attention to the rich folks getting richer and your ass getting poor. Because with these cuts, all the essential government subsidies that you get, housing is going to be affected. Your loans are going to be affected. Interest rates are going to be affected. All these things are going to be affected. And here's the other part. I seen an article this morning that says there's going to probably be another housing crisis like we had back in 2008, 2009. Because of this. Why? Because people are losing their jobs. People are not going to be able to pay their mortgage. People ain't going to be able to afford to eat. But this is the administration that some of you said, oh, we need a change. I'm still trying to figure out what was so bad about Kamala Harris that this is what you chose. What was so bad about her that this is what you chose? And don't you tell me the economy, because eggs are $10 a damn dozen and y'all still out here buying them and complaining at the same time because you're not blaming it on him. Because why? He said, oh, that's a Biden thing. And you believe him. And you believe him. The current president is responsible for everything that happens after January 20th. Cut the BS. James Battle, the crazy thing is the one getting the most money is also responsible for auditing. It's completely asinine. Yeah. You put the fox in charge of the hen house. According to the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, veterans make up about 31% of the federal workforce. This percentage translates to roughly 600,000 veterans working in various federal agencies. As of March of 2024, approximately 220,000 federal employees were in the probationary period, representing about 9.4% of the total federal workforce. This period typically encompasses the first 1 or 2 years of employment, during which employees have fewer job protection. Now, I bring that up because just yesterday, anyone who didn't take that buyout, it's over. If you decided to take the buyout, you put in for it, you're going to get it. Whether you're going to get paid up until October is a shot in the dark. That's what they told you they were going to do, but they ain't a guarantee that that's what they're going to do. So if you sign your name on that paper, I pray that you get paid, but there's no telling if you will, just so you know. Now, yesterday, they went through, and they started firing, letting go anyone that is in the federal government right now that is in their 1 or 2 year probationary period. The probationary period is when you're a new hire in the government, you are on probation, just like you do with another job where they put you on 90 days. But in the federal government, it's a year or 2 years, depending on the position you go to. All those people who took a government job a year ago or less than 2 years ago that are on probation right now don't have a job. As of yesterday, they don't have a job. Some of them were let go by Teams meetings, by email, and so on and so forth. Nothing personal, nothing, just you got to go. This is the mandate. They send them letters. That's it. Thousands of probationary employees fired as Trump administration directs agencies to carry out widespread layoffs. The Trump administration broadened its effort to terminate thousands of probationary workers on Thursday, instructing agencies on a call to move forward with the layoffs. Officials have set their sights on probationary workers who have typically been employed for less than a year or 2 years in some cases because they have fewer job protections and lack the right to appeal. So they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing because as within that 1 year or 2 year while you're on probation, your rights are very limited, very limited. Labor unions representing federal employees are still working to get their arms around the full scale and scope of the firing of probationary employees this week. More than 200,000 employees have worked within the federal government for less than a year, according to the most recent 2024 data from the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, which conducted Thursday afternoon's call. The culling on Thursday took place at the Departments of Energy and Veterans Affairs, among others, and followed termination of scores of probationary workers earlier this week at the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the Small Business Administration. More dismissals at other agencies, including Department of the Interior, took place Friday. Until recently, federal employees across all government agencies had only been placed on paid administrative leave. $200,000. There's 200,000 employees that work that are on probation between the 1 year and 2000 in the federal government. The federal government only has 220,000. I say only, but they're the largest employer in the United States, the federal government. 220,000 federal employees, and that's as of March of 2024. 9.4% are in the probationary period. And that's not just stateside, that's overseas, in the different places overseas as well, with the State Department or any of them. But I want you to think about this. And I don't have the number of how many people have been let. The VA let 1,000 go. However, the vast majority of probation employees, more than 43,000, were exempt from the dismissals, the department said. So the VA let 1,000 people go. I want you to think about this. That's just the VA. I just want to use the VA as an example right now. So the VA let 1,000 employees go who were on probation. That means you're taking 1,000 employees and moving them into the unemployed. And now in the unemployed, on top of the people that are already in the unemployed, they're looking for jobs as well. So add the 1,000 to the people who are already searching for jobs that are unemployed. And that's just a drop in the bucket, because when they go through with all the people, if there's 220,000 federal employees in the probationary period, if they decide to get rid of all 220,000 people and they put them back into the workforce because they're unemployed, and this president said that he had the lowest unemployment rate of any president. Not this time. Not this time. Nowhere close. But I'm going to say again, as I said before, when it starts affecting your families, now it's an issue. We've said it's an issue from the beginning. When it was diversity, equity, inclusion, you didn't care because it didn't affect you because you didn't look like me. What now? Are you listening? Is it starting to click? Are you paying attention? Or do they have to come and tell you that you've been fired before it actually sets in? Yeah, you complained about the eggs being high and everything, or gas going up a little bit, but that's normal complaints for some folks. But let's talk about the eggs and the gas when you can't afford to get the eggs and the gas because you're unemployed. Now what? Now what you gonna do? Kevin Banks, wasn't most of these agencies already short-staffed? Yes, they were. And he laid off, let's clear this up. They laid off the organization, I can't remember it, National Nuclear something. They laid them off, not knowing, now this is how efficient they aren't. They laid off these people in this organization that deals with our nuclear weapons. They let them go, and then they had to call them to come back because they didn't realize they were letting people go who protect the safety of this country by nuclear weapons. So how efficient are they really? Or are they just saying, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this? Oh, we want to keep that because, I got friends that work over there. There's nothing efficient about what they're doing. James Battle, if they're drawing unemployment benefits, that's not saving money. Not at all. Not at all. And this is what I want people to understand. I don't just come on here every Saturday morning just to hoop my holler. And I'm trying to get you to understand what's going on. And the problem is this. Most of the people that need to hear this don't want to hear this. Case in point, what I said earlier when I said not to think about the VA. Nah, he ain't going to do that. Okay. If you say so. Do I worry about it? Yeah, I worry about it. Damn right. And not just for me, for everyone. This is not one of those things where it's not affecting me, I don't care. This is one of those things that it hasn't hit me directly yet, but I feel for all those people that have. I've been unemployed before. I've been laid off before. I've struggled before. I know how it feels for that uncertainty to be there about when your next check is coming in or if it's going to come in. If you're going to have a job tomorrow, how are you going to pay your mortgage? Am I going to be able to eat? What am I going to have to get rid of? All these things come into play, but people are acting like they're blind to this. This is not a time to sit back and say, well, let's just wait and see. Really? Wait and see? For who? People need to be making their necessary adjustments the day this man went into office. The day this man went into office, you should have been making adjustments at that time. You should have been making them when he won the election. Let's just be real. Jacqueline Diggs. Old folks say hard head makes a soft ass. Huh? Say that one more again. Hard head make a... Just saying. Just saying. Department of Education. Another one. People don't realize the extent of what these organizations do and how it's going to affect them long term. People think Department of Education is only going to say, well, they ain't going to teach Black history in school no more, or they're not going to use this transgender agenda and all these different things in school. Has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with that with the Department of Education. Department of Education, let's just break it down real quick. U.S. Department of Education is responsible for overseeing federal education policies and programs, but it does not directly control schools or curriculum. Let me say that one more time. Does not directly control schools or curriculum. Now, we've heard him threaten to not fund the schools that are teaching CRT or any of that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, you can threaten it. But the states oversee the schools. The states are responsible for the schools. This is what the Department of Education is going to affect if it goes away. Department of Education distributes federal education funding. Provides financial aid to students, Pell Grants, student loans, and funds for schools, particularly those serving low-income communities. Got a long one coming in. Let's get this. Trump, not Elon Musk, know what government employees actually do. They think they can manage the country like they manage their bankrupt businesses. You screw this up, you don't get a redo. It's about providing services and security. It's not a business. That's what they think it is. They're trying to run it about a bit. And the thing is, people have to remember, Donald Trump became more famous about telling people you're fired than he did about his casinos. Why? Because the casinos went under. Everything he touches is going under. Case in point, what's going on with the United States right now. But I digress. Let me get back. Distributes federal education funding, particularly, I can never get that up, particularly those serving low-income communities. Enforces federal education laws, ensures compliance with laws like the Individuals with Disabilities Act, Individuals with Disability Act, and Title IX, which protects against discrimination. Collects and analyzes data, gathers statistics on school performance, graduation rates, and educational trends through agencies like the National Center for Educational Statistics. Supports educational research, funds research on best teaching practices and learning methods. Establishes education policies, develops national policies on issues like civil rights and education and school safety. Oversees federal student loan programs, manages loan forgiveness programs, and regulations on student debt. What the Department of Education does not do, does not run schools, does not set curricula, does not hire teachers or staff, does not control state education standards, and does not regulate private or homeschooling directly. So what are we doing? All these people out here yelling, get rid of the Department of Education. Shut up, because you don't know what you're talking about. If the U.S. Department of Education were eliminated, the effects on citizens would depend on how it functions or redistributed. Here's a breakdown on potential impacts. Loss of federal student aid programs, Pell Grants, student loans. Pell Grants, federal student loans, and work-study programs could be disrupted or shifted to other agencies, eliminated. You already count on that. Loss oversight on civil rights and less oversight on civil rights and equal access. That's on the disabilities. What about your son or your daughter that has autism, that's on the spectrum? What about your kid that's in a wheelchair? What about the disability things that they do under the ADA and the IDEA that help them integrate themselves within the school with normal, and I won't say normal, but those other children that don't have these disabilities? That's what it affects. Inconsistent education quality across the states. Weakened support for low income and special needs students. Less educational research and data collection. But they don't want to talk about that. All they hear is, well, if we get rid of the Department of Education, they won't be teaching about Harriet Tubman, they won't be teaching Black history, they won't be teaching about CRT or the 1619 Project. Like, wait. Just because you get rid of the Department of Education, that don't eliminate the curricula that the state or the school board chooses to do. But when you have people in charge of these places and in charge of these things, the curriculum probably just slides off to the side because that's what they want to do. Russell Jenkins, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you. That's what they want to do. So for those folks out there, and I'm going to get into this in a minute because I got to get this off my chest this morning, y'all. I really do. I really do. But this is, well, I tell you. One thing for sure, two things for certain. As long as this administration is doing what they're doing, the Speak On It show will never have a lack of things to talk about. We won't have a lack of things to discuss on this show every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Rodney W. Collins channel on YouTube and on Facebook. Let's go. Straight talk. Every week. Good morning, sis. Good morning. Appreciate you. Straight talk. I typed this out and I want to read it because I was thinking about these people, those people, the people that actually support or supported this administration before it started impacting them directly. And this is what I wrote. Buyer's remorse. The cost of our choices. They say hindsight is 20/20, but in politics, hindsight comes with consequences. Across the country, people are looking at the leadership they helped elect and wondering, did we get it wrong? The economy, crime, foreign affairs, many of the promises made during election season are now being measured against reality, and for some, it's a hard pill to swallow. Today, I want to dive deep into political buyer's remorse, what led us here, the consequences we're facing, and most importantly, what we do next. The great political disconnect, promises versus reality. Let's get into this. Break down the key campaign promises versus the reality people are experiencing. Inflation and economy. Remember they said they were going to cut the cost first day one? Foreign policy. We got a Secretary of Defense in a foreign country down talking them about what they need to do. And also telling Ukraine that they need to give up what Russia came in and invaded and took in order for there to be peace. Why do I have to give something up if you invaded me? Why aren't we pushing back on the invader rather than the invadee? But y'all okay with that because it's not affecting you. Social issues and division. Social issues. When we talk about racism, when we talk about DEI and everything, DEI is the new race N-word anyway. Woke is the new N-word. That's all they want to hear. Now that we're getting rid of DEI and all these different things, how's that going to affect, it's going to affect people like me, but how's that going to affect people with disabilities? Did you think about that? Did you think about all the things that were entailed in DEI before you got so, I'm against it, rather being for it? Because some of you benefited from DEI and don't even realize it. Why? Because you're so blinded to the fact of the race issue that you won't come to reality about the racism. These are the things that you voted for. But this is what you chose. So don't come with the buyer's remorse now and tell me, oh, I can't believe they're taking it. Oh, Donald Trump, please. This is what you chose. When we talk about Project 2020, and I'm going to bring this up again. When we talk about Project 2025, I talked about it on this show for damn near 2 years. Year and a half, 2 years. Broke down the things it was going to affect, what they were going to do and use from Project 2025, but y'all allowed this man to tell you that he wasn't a part of Project 2025 when he stood right up there in a speech and talked to the people who wrote it, when most of the people in his last administration would have damn biographers of Project 2025. But you said it wouldn't happen. And now if you go back and you start reading Project 2025 like you should have from the beginning, you will see everything that he's been doing up to this point is from Project 2025. But no, he's not going to do that. He said he wasn't going to do that. Y'all ain't never been lied to before? Denial is not just a river in Africa no more. Voter regret. Why do we keep falling for the same game? Because you think you're going to get an advantage from the people who are selling you the game. That's why. You think because they look like you, they're not going to hurt you. You feel as though as long as I'm not poor or black or a minority in this country, I'm good. But understand this, with these layoffs, color is not an option. They're laying off anybody and everybody to make this country think that they're reducing debt and becoming more efficient in the government. That's so they can pay these contracts more money. By eliminating you, here's the thing about contracts, and I want to go here again. When you look at them eliminating all of these government employees, who do you think is going to do the work that these government employees were doing? If you step back for a minute and look, most of the government contracts became bigger after 9/11. After 9/11, you had more government contracts in this country than you've ever seen. Why? Because we were sending our military members off to fight and we needed somebody to do the work here. So they hired more civilian workforce and they also brought in more contracts. Now, if you're eliminating the workforce, what's left? The government contracts. Who's got the largest government contracts right now? Elon Musk. Who's going to get the most of these government contracts when they come around, when they start eliminating these positions? People like Elon Musk, the rich people. They're going to allow them to bid on these contracts and put them in place with these contracts to fill those voids where they just eliminated people. And the people that get these government contracts are going to be paying people to come work for them for pennies on the dollar, much less than what they're already paying as government employees. Because now, here's what people don't realize. As a government contractor, I have the option of offering you benefits or not. I have the option of offering you a 401k plan or not. The government gave you benefits, medical, dental, retirement. You had a retirement plan and you had a 401k plan. As a government contract, if I'm a contractor and I want people to come work for me, I can offer you what I want because I'm going to bid on the contract a certain amount of money. How much I pay you depends on how much I want to lose out of how much money I'm making off the government. So now I'm going to say again, these government contracts are going to be the things that you see to replace the people that they're eliminating right now. Trust me. It's all in the orbit of what they do. Why would the State Department already have on their website for contracts that won't open up for bid until August for September for the new budget year? Why would they have that on their website if they didn't already know who they were going to get the contract to? It's not by chance. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. GOCO, government-owned corporate ran, is the government contractor's strategy. We need to wake up, people. And when I say we, I'm talking about people like me, people that didn't vote for this administration, as well as those that did vote for this administration. Don't walk around blind to the fact that this is affecting you just as much as it's affecting me and the other person beside me, because your friends, your family, all these people are being affected. All. Everyone in the United States is being affected one way or another. And the most people that are being affected are the little guys. There's not going to be, let's just break it down. There is not going to be a middle class anymore. If you're in that middle class, which I consider myself to be in the middle class, it's not going to be a middle class anymore. It's either going to be an upper class or a lower class. There's not going to be a middle class anymore, because the upper middle class is going to be migrated down into the lower class, because the rich is going to get richer and the poor are going to get poor. And the middle class is going to fall so far down that the low class, what they consider low class, like the homeless and different things like that, we're going to be right there with them, scraping pennies, trying to figure out a way to do what we have to do. Jobs are lost in the name of streamlining. While the goal may be to make government more efficient, the process often leads to massive job cuts. Federal workers, many of them dedicated, hardworking individuals, are finding themselves on the chopping block. These aren't just faceless employees. These are mothers, fathers, veterans, and individuals who work tirelessly to keep our nation running. When these workers are laid off, it isn't just an administrative change. It's a blow to families. People lose income, benefits, and job security. Thousands of families are left scrambling to make ends meet as they try to navigate this shifting landscape. The burden on minority communities. For Black, Latino, Indigenous, and other marginalized communities, the impacts of these government cuts and delays are even more pronounced. Programs aimed at closing the wealth gap, helping underserved communities, and providing social safety nets are often the first to be trimmed. This means that minority communities are disproportionately impacted, and it perpetuates a cycle of inequality that is incredibly difficult to break. Efficiency should never come at a cost of equality. A white supremacist agenda in action. From banning DEI initiatives to gutting civil rights protections, this administration is implementing policies that prioritize the privileged while disenfranchising communities of color. If you thought racism was a thing of the past, this administration is proving otherwise. And you can say what you want. White supremacy in this country is becoming emboldened once again. Everyone's seen it on the news in Cincinnati, Ohio. You had a bunch of white supremacists standing on an overpass of I-75 with their swastikas and their Nazi affiliations or whatever, and the Black folks in that community ran them off, which is what we need to be doing in every community when these things happen. Be safe about it, but this is what we need to be doing. But the fact that they think they can just come out here and show their allegiance to this white supremacist at this time should tell you everything you need to know. And as I said last week, and I want to thank Tabia Mawusi, for being on last week. But as I mentioned to her, you're in an ally or a lie. You're either an ally or a lie. And I'm going to continue to say that. You can get tired of hearing it, but I'm going to continue to say it because it's fact, not fiction. Veterans, seniors, and students are suffering. The VA is overwhelmed, leaving veterans, including your family members, without access to proper care. Cuts to education and social programs mean students and seniors are losing critical resources they depend on. Economic hardship will reach everyone. This isn't just a government problem. When thousands lose jobs, businesses close, local economies shrink, and entire communities struggle. Even if you still have a job today, ripple effects soon hit your household. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not, as I always tell you, I'm not the brightest person, but I do have enough knowledge to read and understand and comprehend. What is going on with this economy? What's going on right now? Doesn't make sense. And for people that feel it's not affecting them, call somebody in your family and ask them how it's affecting them. Call one of your friends or one of the people you call a friend and see how it's affecting them. Everyone in this country is being affected one way or another. If you got kids in school, it's going to affect them. If you got kids that are about to go to college, it's going to affect them as far as their scholarships, Pell Grants, and so forth. Student loans, payback. How are they going to handle that? Because there's a lot of people out here with student loans. Now, people are going to have to pay them. If you get rid of the Department of Education, who oversees that? Are they going to integrate it with something else? How much is your payments going to change if you have student loans? What's the interest rate going to change to? All these things are in the works, but it doesn't affect you. I had this discussion with somebody. I won't say an argument. I had this discussion with somebody one time in a class when I was in school, when I was in college. Hold on once. Kevin Banks, how is all those blacks for Trump feeling now? I was going to get to that. I'm glad you brought it up. Let me digress for a minute about the blacks for Trump. Let me digress. Thank you, Brother Banks. I have seen nor heard. I have not seen nor heard any of the blacks for Trump come out and say anything about what's going on now. The ones who stood so prominently up there for him to get you to vote for him, the ones who said he's not racist, the ones that said he's not going to do this, they ain't been to the White House. Hell, they ain't been to my house. They out in the outhouse because they got hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray because they fell for the okie doke. And now you don't see them. Why? Because they're trying to find their way, because they fall into the same thing that we're in. Why? Because of their melanin content. When they thought they wasn't black, they got their Negro wake-up call. As soon as he started making these changes, when you heard Byron Donalds and these guys sitting up on stages, what happened to the cognac, cigars, and conversation? Where they at? Where they at now? See, that's who we should be looking for, is those ones that were sitting there telling us we had nothing to worry about. The ones that look like us, that try to draw us in. And for all those that got drawn in that look like me, shame on you. You fell for the okie doke. Those that ran out here talking about blacks for Trump. Oh, we're going to vote for Trump. Oh, he's a survivor. He's this, he's that. What you going to do now? That man don't give a damn about you and never did and never will. When you have a history of redlining black folks from apartments back in the 70s, you don't care about me. When you put a full-page ad about the Central Park 5, about they should be killed in the New York Times or New York Post or whatever it was, when they were not guilty of what you said they were guilty of and have never to this day apologized for it, you ain't about my people and you ain't for my people. You could give a damn about my people. You want my people to entertain you. When you had your casinos and everybody said, oh, he's a good guy. No, he was a good guy because he was paying you to fight in his casino. What else has he done for you? Not a damn thing. And now that he's in this office again, he's doing everything that he couldn't do last time against anybody and everybody that looks like me. And he doesn't care about the aftermath or the effects it has on those people that look like him that are less than in his eyes. But this is who y'all wanted. This is who y'all voted for. This is where we're at in this country, where we are in the process. We are in the process of being friends with Russia. Let that marinate for a minute. This country's leadership is in the process of becoming friends with every dictator in the world. What does that tell you? What are we doing? But this is what throws me. To have veterans that have served this country, still defend this man, knowing what he stands against about everything we stood for when we were in uniform. You need to wake up or be slapped upside the head. What are you doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Russia has never been a friend and will never be a friend. As they said before, Russia was in his pockets. Now they're about to be in the White House because he's invited him to come to United States soil for a meeting. Vladimir Putin, who is taking people hostage. Brittany Griner, the school teacher they just let loose, they released him. All the things you can think about that Russia did. They invaded Ukraine. They used gas against the Afghans in that war. and Afghans ran him out. He's up for war crimes right now. And this is the person that we're siding with as a country because our administration chooses to. If y'all didn't see the writing on the wall, or you just didn't care because he told you your eggs were going to be cheaper. No, that ain't what it is. That ain't what it was. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it again. The reason this man is in office, because y'all couldn't see yourself voting for a black woman to sit in the Oval Office. Let's not cut no cards today. The fact that this black woman had the chance of sitting in the Oval Office over this dude shook you to your core. Shook you to your core so much that you would rather take a white racist that you know is racist by his actions, not by what he says, but by his actions, against what your brothers, who you so-called brothers and sisters that look like me, who are supposed to be your friends, told you, that ain't the move, bruh. That ain't the move, sis. He ain't the one. We know racist when we see him because we've dealt with racism. Oh, he ain't racist. That ain't him. He's not like that. But you showed you're just like him because you did not vote for Vice President Kamala Harris because she wasn't qualified. You did not vote for her simply because you weren't ready to see a black woman sitting in the Oval Office as the president of this United States, let alone a woman, period, because Hillary Clinton should have won as president when she ran, but you chose not to because you could not see yourself voting for a woman. And this is what we're dealing with right now. Because your lack of seeing everything that they're eliminating now, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's why we're where we're at right now, because you chose not to look at diversity, equity, and inclusion and the qualifications of a person running. Rather, you looked at who you thought was a symbol of power. Anybody, now, I'm going to digress here for a minute, but I'm going to ask this question. And I know I'm going over, y'all bear with me. Anybody who's ever been arrested, who's ever had a mug shot taken of them, there's a certain amount of shame in that. I'm guilty of it. I've been there. Ain't no shame. I've been there. Mistakes are made. But I'll be damned. If I take a mug shot that was ever taken of me and hang it up outside the door of the Oval Office in the White House, what is the reason? He has his mugshot hanging outside the entry door to the Oval Office. Why? To show y'all that he has the privilege, the complexion for the protection. That's exactly why that picture hangs out there, to remind you and remind all of us to see that picture hanging out there, all the people that go in and out, or people that may see it in pictures or videos or whatever. Y'all can't touch me. You can't touch me. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And that mugshot just reminds me, as well as you can't touch me. And that's who y'all decided to vote for. Yeah. And then you wonder why. You wonder why. People like me, people that look like me, where you say we're always angry. Nah, we ain't angry. We're disappointed. Because there's a certain amount of expectation that we have that things would change. Not only at this level, but me looking at you. Things would change. So the disappointment comes in because we have expectations. And our expectations are that you're treating me the way you treat me because we are considered to be friends, brothers, sisters, however you want to, mankind. But then you voted for him. tells me everything I need to know about you and your thought process. Jackson did. He said he could shoot someone in the middle of Times Square and nothing need happen. He ain't got to shoot nobody. All the people that died under COVID was a gunshot. All the people that are going to die right now because of starvation, because of the end of USAID, is the gunshot. All the people that are going to lose their homes, all the people that lost their jobs, all the people that aren't going to be able to feed their families is the gunshot. He ain't got to do it to one person in Times Square. These people have allowed him to do it to a whole nation. And the people that we support outside of this nation, called the United States of America. The gunshot is the effects that it's going to have on us, our kids, our grandkids, their kids, and their grandkids. This is not going to get fixed overnight because it's not happening overnight. This is a plan that was set in motion the first time he got elected, but y'all didn't pay attention. Y'all didn't pay attention. And the reason you didn't pay attention because it didn't affect you. Y'all was a witch hunt when he was arrested, when he was convicted of 34 felonies, when the woman said he grabbed her in a dressing room and sexually assaulted her. She's lying. Remember all that? Remember when he said, you know, he can walk up to a woman, grab her by and kiss her, and they like that? That didn't tell you who he was at that point? The man who had an affair with Stormy Daniels, a porn star. She talked about him walking around in tighty whities while his wife was pregnant with her son. But that had no bearing on his character, on his integrity, none of that. But if I do something like that, I'm judged to the ends of hell. He does something like that, y'all look at his power, strength, because that's what the white supremacy mindset thinks. That's a sign of strength. Oh, he had more than one wife? Oh, he was cheating on his wife? Oh, yeah, that's power. Pete Hegseth, he's Secretary of Defense, not because he's qualified, because he fits the mold. He fits the mold. He's a drunk. I said it. He's a drunk. He's a womanizer. And he has no regard for anybody that looks like me. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I'm about to get off here, but I wanted to touch on this real quick because this is something I put up the other day. This was by Thomas Sowell, and I'm going to leave y'all with this today. It was a quote by Thomas Sowell. And the quote says, when people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment feels like discrimination. When people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment feels like discrimination. When you think about diversity, equity, inclusion, Civil Rights Act, you know, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all the people, the Black Panthers, all the people that we can think about through history that have fought for our freedoms, our rights in this country. And then you ask yourself, why is it so hard for people to grasp the fact of equality, of everything being equal and upfront and on par? But the thing is, when you've been treated a certain way or you've had the ability to dictate the preferential treatment that you've had just because of your skin tone, then when you start saying equality, they start thinking, I'm being discriminated upon. Case in point, the colleges being sued. The Fearless Fund that these Black women put this organization together to help Black women businesses get started, and they sued them because they said it was discrimination against white women. The fact that the United States of America, President of the United States, is authorizing anyone that lives in South Africa that is white, that wants to come to the United States of America and become a citizen can come with no problem. But we have an immigration problem. But anyone that's white and South African, that wants to come here can come here with no problem. When people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment feels like discrimination. Thomas Sowell. Let that marinate for the rest of this weekend. While you're watching the news and you're watching these things go on, think about it. Think about it. And I'm not even going to get into the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show. All I'm going to say is outstanding show. You can have your opinions, but if you didn't like it, that means you didn't understand the message. And if you didn't understand the message, that's because you chose not to adhere to and understand the messages that we've been saying for year after year after year. Because the message is not important. You're more concerned about who the messenger is. And because the messenger doesn't look like you choose not to receive the message. That's with anything and everything in this country to this day. Take it how you want. Take it how you want. I'm going to go ahead and sign off for today. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back again next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, here on the Rodney W. Collins channel on Facebook and YouTube. I'm still in the process of migrating over to fan base. Y'all bear with me. If you don't have an account there yet, go on over there, sign up. I'll be broadcasting there live. I'm probably going to take it off Facebook, because I'm not a fan of what they're doing, not a fan of what they've been doing, but I'm going to keep it right now. But once I get this fan base under control, it'll be fan base in YouTube. Keep following me, like, share, subscribe, do what you do with everybody else. And also, this last thing I'm going to say, because I'm over now, I might as well keep rolling. I put a post up the other day. And I'm trying to find it. With the fist in the air, a black fist. And I put it up specifically, and I asked this question. And it was a long question, but it broke down like this. Imagine if every black podcaster dedicated their platform or implemented a special segment to exposing the truth about what's really happening in America, shedding light on injustice, economic disparities, political manipulation, and the hidden systems designed to keep us stagnant. Instead of the usual divisive debates and cultural wars, our conversations will shift toward empowerment strategy and real solutions. We will be the most informed, prepared, and unified we've ever been. Knowledge is power. And when we control the narrative, we control our future. Salute to the podcasters already doing this work. From breaking down policy changes to uncovering media bias, these voices are setting the stage for a new era of awareness and action. If more platforms followed suit, the impact would be unstoppable. Tag a podcast that's keeping us informed. Let's build, not break. Now, I put that out not to downplay any of the podcasts out there for what they're doing. If you want to talk about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, or if you want to talk about radio record reviews, or the Michael Jordan and LeBron debate and everything, that's fine. Do what you do. Do what you think is best for you. But I will ask this question. What from those debates is going to benefit us in this fight right now? I'm not telling you to change what you do. I'm just telling you to inform your people on what's going on right in front of their eyes. People want to be entertained. But I had a friend of mine, I went to his show the other day named Marlon DJ Thump, good friend of mine. Shout out DJ Thump, and I'll get y'all the information for his show. It's called Live 702 Live. I'm sorry. Thump, y'all bear with me. I'll put it up. But anyway, I went to his show the other day, his first show, and they were live. And he said something that really jumped out at me that I didn't understand at the time. But he brought up my show, and he let people know on his broadcast that I am doing edutainment. Because not only is this about entertaining you about what's going on, I'm trying to educate you. Edutainment is the way to go. And that's why when I put this up, I thought about all those people in our spaces that look like us that have these podcasts out here. That it only takes 5 minutes out of what you're doing. 5 minutes. Doesn't even have to be a 5-minute segment to touch on the things that are affecting us as a community right now. The Jordan-LeBron debate will be there until the end of time. Till one of them passes away and all that kind of stuff, they'll still be debating it. They still debate Bill Russell. Drake and Kendrick is no different than Ice Cube and NWA. It's no different than Tupac and Biggie. The debates, the feuds, the beef, that's always going to go on. It goes on in comedy. Think about that. You have beefs in comedy. Who's the better comedian? Who stole whose jokes? But I'll ask this question when I say this thing about beefs. Why is all the beef always within our own community? One against the other. When we got bigger things going on, we got people that support your podcast that have just lost their job. And if they're continually watching you and you're not discussing it, why should I still follow you? I understand. And here's the biggest part. OT brought this up many times, and I want to reiterate this. There's a reason why most of them can't go down this road that I go down. They can't go down the road that a Roland Martin goes down. They can't go down the roads of some of us and what we do as far as talking about these things. Why? Because of who owns them. I own anything and everything that deals with the Rodney W. Collins Speak On His show. So there's no one that can tell me what I can say. There's no one that can tell me what I can't say. Which is why most of these podcasts can't do that. After I posted, I thought about it. I said, you know what? Most of them are under the thumb of the same people that I'm talking about. But if you can't say it on the mic, get out in the community and show your action there. Stop being scared of the repercussions on what you're going to lose and think about speaking up and what you're going to gain. See, we get so caught up in what we might lose that we lose focus of what the gain is at the end of it. We got work to do, as I mentioned. There's no time to be sitting around wondering what if. Right now, what is. And the reality is we are all going to be affected somehow. Some of y'all may have some family members moving in with you. Let's just be real for a minute. Some of y'all may have some family members that are going to have to move in with you. Some of y'all may be moving in with other family members. It's that time. It's that time. And because of everything that's going on, do not think, because everything is good with you today, that you're immune to what may happen tomorrow. Don't think you're immune to what may happen tomorrow. This is going to affect all of us somehow, some way. Be prepared. Be prepared. And don't be looking down your nose at somebody who's going through, because you could be going through tomorrow. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll see y'all again next week. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely, keep your faith in God. Stay in the fight, stay in the fight, stay in the fight. God is in control. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, and I'm out. Peace.